My fellow meatbags, hello! So you probably know how I'm always saying that I know close to nothing about America and I have always issues trying to understand American culture because it's so foreign and strange to me. And it's true to an extent, but on the other hand, I think that compared to the average European, I have an above average knowledge of the US because I have watched a lot of movies and TV shows made there and that take place over there. So right now I'm gonna attempt to describe the 50 US states. For example, I know that there are 50 of them. You ask an average European how many there are, they will answer like 35, maybe 100, fuck knows. But I know that there are exactly 50 of them. And I have the list right there, so if you see me read, I'm not cheating, it's all straight from my brain. I just don't know the list by heart, but I'm gonna try to describe each state only by pure knowledge, without looking anything up. So the first, an alphabetical order, is Alabama. I know about this one because it was mentioned in the great movie Forrest Gump, starring the very great Tom Hanks. And if I understood correctly, it's a state that is made mostly out of conservative farmers. Next is Alaska, in the northwest, far away from the mainland. It's actually detached from the US. It's very cold, and that's where Sarah Palin comes from. There are obviously lots of fish. Arizona, the name sounds pretty cool, sounds pretty radical, but if I understood correctly, it's mostly like rocks and heat and death and heat death. Very like a volcano. And also, of course, they make some extremely radical iced tea, Arizona iced tea, one of my favorite beverages. Arkansas, I know that it's pronounced Arkansas, and that's all I know about it, and to be frank, it sounds made up. California, no, I'm gonna be honest, California sounds like the worst place on earth, especially LA, which is basically, if I understood correctly, a gridlock. Everyone is always stuck in traffic, and there is lots of crimes and people yelling at each other, and everyone hates everyone, and it's full of hobos. And San Francisco is basically the same, and yeah, California seems horrible. It's full of people who hate people. So sounds like hell on earth. Probably one of the places we'll never go, at least out of my own volition. Next is Colorado. So it seems like the polar opposite. I would even say more like Colorado, am I right? If I understood correctly, in Colorado everyone smokes weed and is nice to each other. So I know of Connecticut because that is where the first episode of my favorite TV show called Savior Renegade Angel takes place. If the TV show, if the episode is accurate, then it's a big desert filled with intellectual rednecks. Delaware. So I know this one from a comic book, and apparently it's very entertaining. It's full of roller coasters and fairs. Everyone's having fun. There's lots of everyone grows flowers, lots of flowers, and cotton candy is very popular over there apparently. Florida, this one is very famous. Lots of TV shows and movies talk about Florida, and it's basically just old people and crazy drug addicts and extreme violence and very nice beaches. Georgia, lots of songs about this place for some reason, and not to be confused with the Middle Eastern country of the same name. Hawaii. So Hawaii is another state that is not in in the mainland, but it's actually far away in the ocean. Apparently it's just a nice little island full of nice people. It seems nice. The next is Idaho. So another one that sounds made up. It says its name sounds silly. Idaho. It sounds like, I don't know. It makes me, for some reason, this name makes me think of horses. Probably that's where all the cowboys are. Illinois. So I know this one because, of course, of Sufjan Stevens, who made an album about it, and so that's where all the gangsters are. You know, the Al Capone and all these kind of guys. That's where it happens, and everything in Illinois is usually in sepia color, and yeah, everyone wears pinstripe suits, and they all carry Tommy guns, obviously, and of course, yeah, they make moonshine in their basements. Indiana. Indiana, I think that they're good at basketball. Iowa, so of course, when I was a teenager I was a big Slipknot fan, so Iowa is very familiar to me. I know that also that they were very important politically because of corn, the vegetable, or is it a cereal? Yeah, corn is a cereal, right? Yeah. And in Iowa it's basically just cornfields. And for some reason that I never really understood, the cornfields have very high political importance and value. And I think that's because that's what they used to make high fructose corn syrup, which is the number one, the staple food of the American people. It's like their number one food item. It's like their main sustenance. So that's probably why it's really important for them. That's where all their food comes from. So I guess it makes sense. Farming is underrated. Kansas is a pretty nice band, and it's also yeah, of course, Wizard of Oz. So huge tornadoes and huge fucking tornadoes. Kentucky, the land of the fried chicken. Personally, as a whiskey connoisseur, I know that Kentucky is where bourbon comes from. I love bourbon. I have a bunch of friends who visited the US. The majority of them told me that it was in Kentucky that they had the best time. I think that's what they told me, that the people of Kentucky are the friendliest of all the places in the US that they were. Louisiana, so of course one of my favorite video games is Shadow Man, and a sizable chunk of the game happens in Louisiana, so it's basically, it's kind of like a swamp full of alligators and zombie dogs. I mean, if it's anything like in the video game, and there are lots of egrets. It's kind of funny bird, and yeah, there's the second birthplace of voodoo, and also they have lots of nice food, lots of carnivals and parades, and yeah, it's basically Halloween, but made into a state. Maine is the next one, and one thing about Maine, lobsters. Next is Maryland. This is another one that sounds kind of made up, but I'm confident that this is a genuine list. I don't know that ranches. That's where the ranches are. Yeah, probably. Next is Massachusetts. It's I don't know where it is. I have no idea where it is. I don't know what happens there, but hilarious name. So it's probably full of clowns, because with a name like that, it evokes lots of funny images. Massachusetts. It really sounds silly, so it's probably the silly state. Next is Michigan. Oh, that's where all the angry people are, and always riots. Minnesota. Sounds nice. Sounds like makes me think about mimosa. You know, the nice cocktail, which is also a nice tree, which makes these really pretty little yellow flowers. It's a nice, refreshing name. I think wasn't this the location of the Little House in the Prairie, a very famous TV show from the 70s? Yeah. I don't know. It's an antique name. It's an ancient name. Makes me think about the cowboys, the John Wayne saloons. Probably the cowboys are in the saloons drinking mimosas, I guess. Next, Mississippi. So another really funny name. And one thing I remember about it is that there is a lot of important bodies of water over there, like rivers and lakes full of water. Next is Missouri. Another state that is full of angry people fucking shit up, and also I think it's full of nerds, like lots of nerds over there. Yeah. It rings a bell for some reason. I seem to remember that it's full of nerds. Anyway, the next is Montana. So I know two things about Montana. I know that it's cold, and I know that it's beautiful. I don't remember who told me this, but it's ingrained in my brain. So next is Nebraska. Nebraska. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is Nebraska? No fucking idea. I know nothing. I got nothing about this one. Next is Nevada. Nevada, of course, is internationally famous because it's the home of Las Vegas. And yeah, Las Vegas, one of the most famous places in the world, and probably the most famous place in the U.S. after New York and LA. And so of course, Las Vegas, the casinos, the neon lights, and the casinos and the neon lights, and a lot of people don't know it, but it's in the middle of a desert. It's like really, it's like an oasis. You take one step out of the city. There's no suburbs or anything. One step and you're right there in the desert. And so sand and deadly heat everywhere, and also they have good land crabs. I heard that they have good land crabs, whatever the hell that is. Next is New Hampshire. I think this name is annoying. It's annoying to say, it's annoying to read. And weird name, I don't like it, and I know nothing about it anyway. New Jersey. New Jersey is the place that they're always complaining about in TV shows, especially. You know, I'm calling for a really bad place. What are you in hell? Worse, New Jersey. Oh yeah, and they're always saying that it smells like rancid alligator vomit. I think that's it. Yeah, it seems I remember something about people, a lot of people saying that New Jersey smells like rancid alligator vomit. Everyone hates it, and for some reason they have lots of good medical schools. Maybe because of all the rancid vomit that makes lots of interesting diseases, and so it's interesting to study the people for the doctors. It makes them gain a lot of knowledge. I don't know. Next, New Mexico. This one got really famous lately thanks to Breaking Bad, but it's dear to my heart because of one of my favorite video games, which is Half-Life. Lots of people don't remember it, but Black Mesa is in New Mexico. So lots of cool hillbillies in trailer parks, which is, in my opinion, very exotic and appealing. So New Mexico, out of all the places in the US, in my opinion, is the most attractive. If I had to pick one state to live there, or just to spend vacation, it'll probably be New Mexico. It sounds pretty awesome. Next is New York. So I don't know what's in there, and I don't know where is it, but what I do know, because they always talking about this, it's not the city. The state has nothing to do with the city. They're not at the same place. New York City is not in the state of New York. It's totally different. That's all I know. Next is North Carolina. I know that Fred Durst, lead singer of Limp Bizkit, is from there. He says so in one of his songs. North Carolina is my hometown, he says. So, yeah. Next is North Dakota. Yeah, okay, I don't know about this one. Next is Ohio. Oh, of course, Ohio. We all know, because that's where they killed Harambe. That's where Harambe was murdered. In cold fucking blood. That's where they killed our savior, Harambe! That's all I know about the state, though. Next is Oklahoma. Another funny name that, for some reason, sounds like horses. Next is Oregon. Oh, that's where you die of dysentery. Well, you go in Oregon and you have died of dysentery. Remember this one. Pennsylvania. That sounds pretentious. Sounds probably one of these pretentious little states in the Northeast, full of crooks. Yeah, not a nice name. Rhode Island. So I remember that Rhode Island is another misnomer, because it's not actually an island. That's all I know about it, though. Next is South Carolina. So, Fred Durst was not born there. Next is South Dakota, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna assume that it's probably very different from North Dakota. Tennessee. They have whiskey there, lots of whiskey. Important place for booze. There's a hugely popular French song which loosely translates to there is a little of Tennessee in all of us. But I completely forgot what the song is about. Texas. Texas, one of the most famous places, and it's cool to say that you hate it, but apparently it's actually a great place. My favorite band is from there. I met a lot of people online, and a significant amount of people are always saying, oh yeah, if you are someday in the US, you can come crash at my house anytime. I've heard that a lot of Americans inviting me in their domicile, which is a really nice thing, really nice thought. And yeah, about 80% of the people who said, yeah, if you are ever one day in the US, you can come crash at my house, no problem, I'll make you breakfast and everything. 80% of those people were from Texas. I got invited in Texas much more than in any other US state. So I assume that's where the friendliest people are, and it's got a really recognizable shape, and also if you sing a song about stars in the street, they all clap. Utah. I'm not sure how to pronounce this one. And okay, there's something weird about this one, because I swear that every time I look at a US map, it's in a different place. So maybe it's like moving, maybe they're moving it around, maybe it's like I don't know, puzzle state, and it changes place depending on the seasons or whatever. swear that there's something weird. Maybe it's like the Mandela effect, you know, with the Bernstein Bears universe and all that shit. And every time I change the universe and Utah's in a different place. And it's famous because there you are legally allowed to own 8 wives. Anyway, the next is Vermont, also known as Fake Canada, because they keep copying everything that Canada does. Basically, Canada rip-off, knockoff, I mean. And yeah. Next is Virginia. I know one thing about Virginia. Oh, it's full of forests. Lots of trees. Trees, everywhere trees. In Virginia, they have lots of forests. Next is Washington. Washington, which is basically a big administrative department, and everyone who lives there is a politician. It's mandatory to be involved in politics to be able to live there. It's like a special area that is restricted to politicians. Next is West Virginia. Is this one real? I'm starting to doubt my list. West Virginia? This one sounds definitely made up. And next on the list is Wisconsin. Oh yeah, Wisconsin. It's very metal. It's very hardcore. People go there to have death trips. So it's kind of like I don't know. It's the state's kind of like in Mad Max. That's how I picture it in my head. And the Wisconsin death trips are very famous. It's like some kind of extreme shit. The last one is Wyoming. Wyoming sounds like a Chinese basketball player, but apparently it's a U.S. state. I think I remember something about it. Is that oh yeah, there are no cities in Wyoming. It's only wilderness. Very wild over there. Almost no people live there. It's just a lot, like trees and bears, shit like that. So wow, I've done the whole list. The video is gonna be a bit longer than I would have preferred, but hey, that's life. So yeah, good knowledge. I don't know what the point of this video is, but I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to explode the like button if you really liked it. Subscribe, and if you really loved it, consider a monthly subscription to my Patreon, which will help me make those awesome videos full of knowledge. Yeah. Anyway, peace.